Alright, this is just another quick garden update, and it's really not about gardening at all. It's about more finishing some of the cleanup around the area. And I decided where I wanted to put the post for the water spigot. I'm moving it down from way up at the other end of the garden there, so got out my old post hole diggers there and dug a hole for it. Throw some gravel in the bottom of the hole here just to keep that post from rotting out. Now that post is probably close to 40 years old already. It's been used in different things, so the gravel does help make them last. And I'm just going to set that down in the hole there. And then I've got a piece of old 4x4 I had laying around that I'm going to use for some edging to hold that gravel back and, just give me a place to weed whack against the stuff. So I got out my little old Craig jig there, pocket hole jig, and I'm just going to put some pocket holes and use some of the outdoor screws on both sides of it to just kind of tie everything together to keep it from slipping around. And then I'll drive some fiberglass stakes down through them to hold them from slipping permanently. But you can see, I like that armor clamp. Those things are really great. I love using them with this jig, and they do work good. So it doesn't take long to throw a couple of these pocket holes in here, and someday maybe I'll get the big ones. But and then I took a break. It was too hot, so I went up to the house for a while. And you can see my wife's Japanese peony tree is in full bloom. Now the heat hit it. It's about 90 out today, and all the flowers wilted immediately. So they'll probably only last about 2 days in this heat, but they are beautiful when they first pop out. And the red maple there is really doing good. But the lavender has gone crazy this year. I've never seen it. Look at how expanded. That's going to be an amazing batch of lavender. Alright, had a break out of the sun for a while, and time to go down and start screwing everything together. And there you can see I'm just kind of using those Craig screws to tie the posts together there and align things so they don't move while I'm putting them in, and until I get a chance to get everything solidly pegged in place. Craig screws are really handy when you use those blue outdoor ones. I wish that Armor would sell the bigger packs of theirs. So I got that, pretty much all ready to go, and just had to level that up a little bit. My pharmacy sign there, I did actually bring that in and redo that. I just put some new red paint on it and sanded it down and put some clear on it. So that does look a little better now, but that's actually the hose holder. And then there's also going to be a spigot, and I'll do a video when I, do the plumbing down here shortly. So I got everything in place, lined up, and I'm just going to put some more gravel around the pole and just tamp it in place here. Try to level everything up as you go along. It makes it easier in the end. So that was, one thing, and then I got to start digging for the pipe to go back up to where it ended before. So I started out with my little spade here, but it was really just too hot. I'm only going about 6 inches down. I drain it in the winter for the frost and stuff, so I gave up on that. But there you can see I've got probably 50 feet to go. And there's the old hose, and then right there, up there is where the old line that was buried underground ends, and I did pull it out from the garden and move it over, so I still have some more pulling out. Up in the house for another break, and my wife's freezing some of her kale that she just picked. That stuff did great. And then I put the Cyclone rake together and got that out, and I figured I'd go over this thing. Now that I've used it for a couple of years, I've kind of fallen out of love with it. This Vanguard engine is junk. I'd never buy another thing with a Vanguard engine on it. There's a little plastic fuel bowl actually down there on the side. You can see I kind of got mad and I ripped that cover off and bent the handle out of the way because it was leaking again. That little fuel bowl, every year when I pull it out, it leaks. I did actually replace it once with a new one, and the same thing happens. A leak, I think the heat from the engine heats it up and expands the plastic and makes them leak and come loose and stuff, and they are definitely a fire hazard on these engines. So that was a problem. I tried putting some silicone on it to seal it up so I could use it for a while, until I did something else. So you can see a little red stuff around there, but that really didn't, hold permanently. So you do lose a lot of grass out on the lawn with this thing. And, like I said, these Vanguard engines, I'd never get another one. But another thing that I've had problems with is this muffler. They've got it facing right at the back of you, and all those screws have stripped out, and I've moved it around a couple times, and that exhaust just kind of with the Kubota engine in backwards, pulling heat from the back, really cooks you on these hot days. It makes you stink like engine exhaust. So this whole engine is not proper for this Cyclone rake, the way it blows right on you. So that's another, issue that really been bugging me, and I figured I'd just do an update on it while I'm doing this and go through everything. And another thing is, too, it's just too heavy to unhook without taking the whole thing apart. So, there's a lot of little things here, and actually I have a couple more things to show you. So it's one of those things where I'm probably going to be replacing this thing in the future. And these wheels here, half the ball bearings have fallen out of that pivot point on them already, and they bang and they scratch and they scrape whenever you turn. So, that's another thing there. You can see they're both the same. The little balls fall out from bouncing across the lawn. And there it is. I used it for a while, and then you can see that gas is leaking out of there again. There's just no way to stop it. It gets hot and it starts leaking, and, that's it. But it does do it does a nice job on the lawn when it's working, and it does clean everything up good. So, it does have some good positive points to it. And pretty much here you can see it's really kind of impossible to unhook and just use the tractor without, getting a jack out and stuff, which really is a big pain in the neck. So, next one I get's going to have something on there that holds it up while you unhook it, and you can just drive away and do different things with the tractor. Now, one more thing that's been bothering me is you can see how when you open that Velcro up and you're doing grass, that grass comes out and hits you in the face. The wind, a little bit of wind, and you're coated with grass, and you're sneezing and everything else. So all this Velcro stuff here, I didn't mind it in the beginning, but just as I'm getting older, it's harder to deal with stuff that's not right. So, that's that. And the last thing is the weight of it. They've got the hinge all the way back on the thing, and when you pick up grass, you go to dump the thing. I actually pulled that arm out again. It was doing good, the arm that I hurt last winter. And then dumping a couple of these loads, it's actually all sore again and everything. And you can see how struggling it is when you're doing grass. I mean, if you just did leaves with it, I guess it wouldn't be bad because it's lighter and stuff. But, pretty much just so many little things building up that I thought I'd, just do a quick update here. And then, you got to keep bouncing back and forth sometimes to get everything out of it. And go back through and do the whole Velcro thing. But as you can see, the bag is kind of puffing out, getting fatter and stuff, and nothing really lines up anymore when you pull it together. So just a couple things I thought I'd show you after using it for a while. I definitely will be replacing it with something else. But the mulch comes in handy, and always have something to mulch with. And I'm starting to mulch along the new beds there. And I'm putting down landscape fabric for the first 4 feet out that's overlaying that plastic there so weeds can't grow under the edges of them and come up in the beds. And then I'm putting down just 6 inches of grass on the whole garden. And, so I'll be picking up a lot of grass. It's going to take me a couple days to get this all done. And, we just had such hot weather and dry weather, and I've got to get that whole thing up there all mulched. Now, another thing I've been working on is a little area between where the firewood is and the that little shed I've got there was all full of junk and weeds and grass, and, I had some fence stuffed in there and stuff. So decided to straighten that out and putting down some fence wire before I put down more plastic and gravel here just to prevent animals from being able to dig under it. Then going around the back quarter of that shed, you can see I had some rocks and stones piled back there and stuff that just kind of got moved from the garden over the years, and it's just a total mess. last couple of years, this one tree has decided to grow up in there, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it sure is a fast-growing tree. So I dragged out the trencher, and this thing's been pretty much amazing. Sat since last year. I put a little bit of gas in it, put the choke on, pulled it once, thing started right up. It's these little engines here, I'll take them over Briggs' engine any day. It's just runs so good, use so little gas, and always start. So I figured I threw the claw on the trencher there. You can see I've got the little pointy finger on it there. And I'm just going to use that to rip this tree out. And this thing really does a good job with that claw. No mess, no nothing. Just kind of dig down, pop the roots, and take the tree out. And things like I bucked and bronco, so I picked myself up a cowboy hard hat there to wear while I'm using it, so I don't get hit in the head if the tree comes down on me. And I'm going to run a little bit faster here, but it took a little bit over 2 minutes to get this tree out. And the long term. And I just love that finger that I put on the end of the trencher, that ripper blade. That really is, amazing for taking out trees again. You can see it. Just pop this thing right out, pretty much. Takes a little while to get used to how to get into the middle and get under the root ball and stuff, but once you get it, it does a good job. That's one of my favorite tools I've ever bought. It's just so fun to use, and it saves me a lot of time. So there it is, first tree out. So now I can move on to the, clean it up back here a little bit. You gotta watch when those little trees start, boy, they grow really quick. And there it is, pretty much, one little root sticking up there, but no real mess or anything. And most of the roots are out, so I'm real happy with how that worked. And then it was time to get out the tractor and go drag out the piles of stones and stuff in there and do a little bit of leveling. Now, I had another pile of stones off to the left I had to move too, and after I got done leveling this off some, I went over there and started putting the stones in the bucket for the tractor to move them around. And as always, I reached down and grabbed a big stone, and guess what was under it? My friendly garter snake that lives out here. And there it goes, running across the gravel there. That thing's been out here for a couple of years, I think. But I eventually, did get it all cleaned up and leveled out and ready to put some gravel down. So same thing, I'm putting down some 6mm plastic, and I'm going to put down like about 3 inches of gravel on this whole area. And I'm going to finish up the fencing like I did on the other side of the tent there. But I picked up one of these Milwaukee narrow crown staplers for using outside for fencing and stuff several months ago, and I got a good deal on it. And this is my first time using it. I'm going to do a review after I use it for a while. But this is my first time using it, and I really love the thing. I had looked at the DeWalt because I've got a lot of DeWalt 20-volt batteries, but I just didn't like it. It made a nasty whine that was hurting my hearing aids and stuff. And I haven't had the best luck with DeWalt tools that I've purchased lately, especially like that weed whacker and a couple other things. So I'm trying to just quit buying them from now on. So I decided to try this Milwaukee, and it's awesome. Doesn't weigh much more than my air stapler, and sets them perfectly every time. And it's really good, as you can see, for fencing, and you can use it for the wire and stuff too. So this is another tool that I'll do a review on once I use it for a while, but I know that's going to be good because I'm really enjoying it. You shoot all day with a 2 amp hour battery. It's pretty amazing. As fast as you can, tap it, it'll shoot. So I worked on that fence, and there I got that corner all fenced in now, and I got it graded off so I can keep my dump trailer back there once I get done. Then on the side of the shed, I had this Rose of Sharon that I planted 3 probably 15 years ago, but it's a 3-collar Rosa Sharon. And it just turned into a bush that never did good, and you just can't keep it weed whacked or anything else. It's just a total mess here. So while I had the trencher out, I decided, well, it's time for this to come out too. And pretty much same thing. That finger goes down, and you can pretty much cut and rip out a lot of the smaller roots out of the ways, and not really do much damage to the surrounding ground. It's really pretty amazing. And this trencher, actually, I'm planning on making a couple more mods to it in the future to put some automatic outriggers and stuff on it, but it's just been an awesome tool. Now I'm going to run it fast here a little bit just to speed it up, but it did take probably about 4.5 minutes to get this bush out. With the bucket, you would have had a mess, and it would have taken, probably at least 3 times that much. Plus the mess you had to fill back in. So I did have this one had some really deep roots. It was, an older bush, and been in there for a while, and a pretty big clump, so it did take, a couple more minutes, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this and using this. And, if you do have one of these things, one of these trenchers, this ripper jaw really is a good thing to put on them. So I just thought I'd show you, even though the garden's all planted and everything, there's still a lot of things that I'm trying to finish up around the area here and get all cleaned up, so it'll be real easy to maintain and take care of. And there we go. We got that big root ball coming out now. That little trencher just amazes me how good it works. Get the tree out and just try to get a little bit of the dirt out of the root ball to kind of lighten it up a little bit there. But it does make life a lot easier. So now I still have to, move some more dirt around and level this up and stuff. And I'm looking for a nice landscape tree to put in here next to replace that with. And then, there goes. Pick it up with a tractor and dump it in the woods. And, that's out of sight, out of mind. And then I spent a couple hours researching about these engines. And I found out that they are considered pretty much a fire hazard with that plastic one on. And I did find an aluminum replacement that Briggs & Stratton started making for that filter housing. So I got this on Amazon along with the new gasket, and it looks like that's going to solve the problem. I hope it does. I put it on, used it for a while, and it had no leaks. So if anybody has one of these things, they should really replace their plastic bowl with this aluminum one. And it was just it's been so dry and so hot and everything. I just decided to make my life a little bit easier. I didn't really want to put the bucket on and make a big mess, but figured I'd just take the trencher and loosen up the areas where I'm going to be digging now. And that will speed things up. So this thing, again, just trying to cut a 4-inch wide slot there where I'm digging and make it easy to get the dirt out. Because when you're just trying to dig a little trench like that, you get rocks and stuff on the edge that really hang you up, and with a shovel it's a real pain. I just did a little bit at a time, went about maybe 5 feet, and then pulled the tractor up. It would have been quicker if I had somebody to drive the tractor. I could have probably just kept moving right along and dragged the thing behind me, but this is what I use, and it did speed the job up a lot. So next video I'll be showing you, putting in the new pipe and what I used for pipe and, the faucets and stuff down on the stand there. I'm not going to stretch this one out anymore. But again, this trencher really, it's really been a handy little tool, and just a fun tool too. You can dig a trench on an 80-degree day without breaking a sweat. That's, it's well worth it. So I got that pretty much loosened up, and waited till it got cooler to go back and dig it out and clean it up there. But then my wife told me, "Hey, come here, look at this," and looked like a snapping turtle coming up out of the swamp to lay eggs. Every spring they come up across their yard and either lay eggs in the yard or go across the street. And this one, the shell on that one's about 14 inches long, I'd say. The overall thing is probably about 18, 20 inches with the tail and stuff, with the head sucked in like that. And the head's probably about as big around as my wrist. And it looks like kind of like a piece of brick pavers on the back of it. And boy, that looks like that would make a nice pot of soup in that big pot that we just got. Probably just fit if the price of meat keeps going up. You may have to resort to stuff like this. But anyhow, when you live in the country, you never know what you're going to see walking across the yard. And they were their snapping turtle. So I just thought I'd do a quick update on this Cyclone rake and my thoughts about it. And nothing really about the gardening, but I did get myself a boom box for out there, so I got music now, and while I'm working and stuff, and that makes it a lot more fun. And hopefully soon I'll do some updates on how all the plants and stuff are doing. But for now, I just figured I'd do an update. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.